Are you happy that I share the screen now? Yes, okay. Can everybody see this well? Yes, okay, wonderful. So our project that we have started about 3-4 years back with support of your Hillcrest branch for your survival garden project with your hippo rollers. Oh, there's Robert. Hi, Rob. With your wonderful hippo rollers and the garden kits has this year, and many of you will know, grown into this wonderful big campaign by your MCIC grant, I think it is called, where you put this project forward for extra support. So we named it ECD Center-Based Climate Resilient Food Gardens. We have learned from the previous years where we carefully started these food gardens that climate resilience has become a major challenge, and is something that with everything we plant and where we plant has to be considered. And ECD center-based, because it is part of our work, and we prefer to have these gardens at the ECD centers instead of community-based gardens, because ECD center-based for us, there's more control over it from the ECD center, the preschool itself, and they are able to grow the food that is good and taste well and will be eaten by small children. So it's a bit of a difference to the big community-based gardens where you're more aiming and you're at your markets and what you can sell. A little bit of background to our organization. We work in the Eastern Cape and we work in KwaZulu-Natal. Those are the two provinces with the most children in South Africa, the most rural children in South Africa, and the most children that live under the poverty line. So we are lucky to be placed in this province because this is where we love to work. We specialize in rural areas. We travel dirt roads that nobody else works to travel. It really is a niche where we work. The rural areas in South Africa have something very charming and something very needy. The unemployment is, I think this year spiked to about 65% in our rural areas. The unemployment is very high. With that, there's very few school fees paid, and these schools really need our support. Okay, now I'm sharing my screen, but I can't move my picture. Okay, that is interesting. I think I have to move out of sharing again, go back to my slides, because I think when we took it off originally, we stopped the actual PowerPoint presentation. Let me just do this again, okay?
Sure.
Sorry. There we thought we have no glitch. Oh. What happened now? Okay, I'm going back to screening. It's all fine on my side. Let me just try this again. Have you got your picture back?
Yes.
As soon as I share it, it's not moving the picture. We do one more thing. I want to go into my settings. One more thing here. Sorry. More. Just want to check something else here. Okay.
Go.
Okay, something is, so it's not the full screen, but it's better than nothing, correct?
Yeah, and if you go to from beginning on the top left,
Yeah, that's what I did before. Let me try it again and try. Yes, wonderful. Okay, there we are. Sorry. This is where we are. I just would love to give you a little bit of the background for the statistics that we have in this country, just that you know why your support in this project is so very important. So food security is a global issue and has been exacerbated during COVID-19. And South Africa is sadly part of this massive global crisis. We have a few very desperate rankings in South Africa. And in the latest Global Index for Hunger, we were ranked number 60 of 107 countries for hunger stats. We have an estimated 30% of households struggling with food security generally defined as families not knowing where the next meal is coming from. We specialize in small children, as you know, so we are always very interested in the statistics for children under the age of 5. And we have a very sad number of more than 1 of 4 children in South Africa are stunted in growth, meaning they are not meeting the milestones they are meant to meet in their development. Stunted in growth is they're behind their height for age, their weight for age, and it's very unlikely that they will reach the developmental milestones for both their cognitive and their physical development. Sadly, the statistic has been the same for the last 23 years. So in 23 years, with all the World Food Programs of this world, all efforts, nothing has changed in that number that 1 in 4 children in South Africa under 5 is stunted in growth. Major cause of this is poor nutrition and undernutrition. Poor nutrition meaning that the food groups are not observed, and that basic starches are the main part of a plate for children. There is very little protein and very little fat. Fats and protein are the most expensive and most problematic items in a meal in South Africa for these poor families. But we have a lot of maize, as you know. Our diet is based on maize. And if you only feed those particular food groups, carbohydrates, starches, maize, you will at some stage run into your developmental and your growth problems with children. This is what I would love to show you. This is how we started. Rob, this is one of our first little outreaches with you. But half a year after we started the gardens, this is what we were looking at. And a lot of these gardens are before the floods. You will remember last year in April, we had these massive floods here. So a lot of our gardens were washed away. It was not necessarily from a spring flood or from a river burst or something in this particular area here in the north coast in KwaZulu-Natal. It was mainly because there was simply too much rain falling in a short period of time and the ground couldn't absorb it, and the whole hills were washed away. What you see here is mainly what we are trying to encourage to grow and what grows well without much knowledge and training. You see cabbage here, you see carrots, you see potatoes, and you see a bit of onion in the bottom left picture here. And you also, and we get to that later, you see that the ladies are trying the raised beds. Here I would love to touch on why we have asked for the support for these food gardens. So as an organization, we receive a lot of product, fortified breakfast, as we mentioned, and also products for lunch. But very, very early on, we realized that the ECD centers ideally should grow their own food in their backyard. Number one, there's a lot of space. South Africa or rural areas, there's a lot of land, a lot of unutilized land. And generally speaking, in most of our areas, setting aside the recent droughts we had, you should be able to grow your vegetables. School and preschool-based food gardens have proven now to be a very, very good addition to an organized school feeding program. So we, for example, receive rice and oil and vitamin A packs, for example, to cook a meal and add fresh vegetables. It's just absolutely super. So addressing malnutrition is not about the access to food, it's also that you try to have the diversity of food items, and that is what a vegetable garden is just perfect for. We not only have carrots and all your vitamin C's, we also, by the way, try to do nuts, and we try to do fruit. But you also can grow your beans, and you can grow some protein rich veggies. What we're trying to do with this is we try to break the cycle. When we went through COVID, through that hard lockdown that we had here for 8 months at our schools, for example, in 2020, we realized that you have to break that circle for small children to access good nutrition in those early years, start formal schooling on a better platform and in a better physical condition, and be able to develop what we always call their best potential. And for that, our ECD Garden program has proven in the last 8 months already, because we're having the first harvest, to do a really, really good job for what is served on the plate for these children. I'm handing over to Sneh now, because she's taken part in this wonderful training that you enabled us to host with Zero2five, our partner in Tunzini on the North Coast. So Sneh has spent the time there, she did the training, and she would love to just give you some feedback about the training.
Thank you, Julika. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sneh Zulu. I'm from the Zero2five Trust. I am a field worker, and I've been working with Zero2five for 3 years now. So I'm going to present to you today the ECD Center Guide in Planning. So for ECD practitioners, or for somebody to start a garden, they need to consider the following points, like the ideal number and size and the location of the garden, because they are based in rural areas. They have a lot going on there. They've got livestock, they've got challenges with water, so they have to plan their gardens accordingly so that they can be able to maintain them. So they need to consider the size and the shape of the garden. They also need to consider the position or the space for the garden. And they also need to keep the path, walking paths for the wheelbarrows and hippo rollers, so that they can be able to plant and to water their crops. They also need to have storage for their tools to keep them protected at all times. And they also need to consider fencing so that they can be able to avoid animals and vandals, since they are located in the rural areas.
Oh, what do we see here?
Yeah, as you can see here, we've got one of our ECD centers there from Esho, where there is Favor Mzansi, Courage. Her name is Tembelihle Masondo. As you can see, the smile says it all. She has a beautiful hippo roller there, and she got a beautiful garden there. And there are some tools at the side of the tree there. So she's happy trying to use that hippo roller, because they are living in the area where they suffer. They've got challenges with water. So hippo rollers have been of a great help to them, because they sometimes go about 4 to 5 kilometers trying to fetch water from the river. So it's hectic for them. And we've got beautiful faces there of our young children participating in the garden. So I think they are busy teaching them with soil and plants and everything. So here, we've got ladies there, very, very beautiful ladies. They're very interested in what they see there. They've been in the training at Caesar. We had a nice training, a fruitful training there, where we were being equipped with knowledge about food gardens and how to take care of soil. So here are the topics that have been covered there: the ECD center-based garden design, and building a garden that can be sustained and maintained. They were told how to, which way they can be able to maintain their garden while teaching at the same time. So, yeah, and the point number 3, nutrition and healthy eating in the ECD centers. Since we all know that rural areas they don't have access to healthy food, so they were encouraged to plant crops on their own and try to provide nutritious meals for children every day at the ECD centers. Then we also covered soil. Oh, sorry. Soil and plant health, where we were talking about taking care of soil, like trying to how to make your soil fertile at all times, so that your plants can grow well. Also did plant propagation, where we were taught about how to plant a tree from another tree, or a seed from another seed. And a good practice on how to incorporate garden maintenance into a preschool day. So here they were encouraged to involve children in whatever they are doing in the garden, like harvesting, like weeding, like planting, like watering the plants. This was to help children to know and to learn more about soil and how soil can help them to get something nice from the soil. Then we had water-wise gardening, like homemade basic irrigation, use of water tanks, use of hippo rollers. We were taught about how to keep your garden wet while saving water. So they were given few ways of gardening, like using a homestead garden irrigation. And yes, and then organic pest control. So we were taught about how to make a cow manure and a worm tea, and yeah. Yeah.
This one is just some extra information that has been handed out and translated into isiZulu for our ladies. And in this particular workshop were 16 ladies that they can take home and that they are working on at the moment in phase 2, let's put it that way. So they have all set up their gardens, they all marketed it. We were able to help with fencing already. Fencing is one of the big infrastructure challenges that we always have to assist with. So I won't go through all of them. I think it's a lovely addition to the training to also have the natural cycles in there, that they know climate change is coming, what grows best, what time does it grow best, and what are we planting in autumn to have a harvest? What are we planting so that we can harvest a lot in November, because all the children are going home in the holidays, and it would be great to send them home with a fresh produce parcel, and so on. So, so far we have from this particular group that we were training in May, by the way, all 16 of those have set up their garden, and you start seeing the first little plants. So I'm hoping, we always think end of the year at this time of the year. I'm hoping that by November we can send the children home with at least a little basket full of fresh produce from this particular project. This is the irrigation, homestead irrigation that Sneh was talking about. It's a basic 25-liter bucket. As Trini and Rob mentioned, there's a big water problem here. Big 25-liter bucket on a basic cemented pole platform with basic piping, and then there's tiny holes in the pipe and a plug at the end. And the ladies are taught how to use this best, when to open it fully, when to maybe close it all together, obviously, and also how to move the pipe around if they can only afford one length of pipe and so on. It's a really nice, low-cost, affordable, user-friendly solution here. This is also, I love this very much. This is wind and shade protection. If you can't afford the standard green shade cloth that we have here. So you can see there's a lot of possibilities that these ladies were taught how to make your own plan, how to do a little what we call MacGyver plan, and how to protect your crops and so on. This is part of the training. Sneh will take this over. So all of these ladies, by the way, got this little apron and the basic tools. And this is at the training center, the raised beds where they were training.
Okay, as Julika said, we were at Sept here. We've got Kulagahle Crash, and the ladies, they seem very interested in whatever they are doing. They like their work like nothing before. So they like what they are doing. They were busy working in the garden there with their tools, with their aprons on. So yeah, I think they are enjoying it. Yes. As you can see, they are very interested in whatever the facilitator is saying to them. They're very interested.
So just that you know, all the training is done in the African languages. So when we're in the Eastern Cape, it's isiXhosa, and here it's isiZulu. And we only hand out all the manuals and the paper and the copies that they must take home afterwards. So this workshop I liked very much because it was very practical and very hands-on. So when you see the group standing somewhere, each person did the whole exercise by themselves. So they were split up in smaller groups. It was very, very good training. I'm not going to go through the slide because this is what I know the impact we will have with these ECD-based food gardens in the long run. Excuse me. We have basically given these centers a base for number one, food security at their centers. We have ensured that the children will have access to good nutrition. We have also empowered these women to teach other women in the communities. And we have made the centers a hub for good nutrition and for learning. So the longer we go along with the training and all the site visits that we are doing and all the on-site follow-ups, the more impact we have on the communities themselves, because these rural communities are strong communities, especially the women. We always say the women are the backbone of the Zulu nation. They teach and help each other very much. So it's very nice to see the children are involved in the activities in the food gardens, and they tell their parents, the parents show an interest. There's more involvement in the gardens. Mothers come and help, fathers come fix a fence. It can be a really nice community project. They will go through this. So obviously what we try to avoid is having these practitioners under the pressure that they must wait for the children to have a sleep, and only then can they work in their garden. So we have developed basic activities for the children. Sneh will go through them with you.
Thank you. Here we've got activities that can be done in the garden with children to help them understand the soil better and to be able to contribute in the near future. So from the picture number one, if you can see that drawing there, we just we're just trying to introduce soil to them. So they are drawing with their hands. They get to feel the soil and understand what is happening with the soil and what can the soil produce. And the other picture, we've got some produce from the garden. We've got popcorn, we've got beans, we've got mealies, we've got nuts. This is how we encourage children and young and people out there to be able to plant their own food. This can help them with counting, with planting, with everything. So yeah, and as you can see, they're planting there on their liquid tiles, they are planting their own plants.
Yeah. This is a summing up from us why we would love to continue our food gardens and why we know that we are assisting not only the young children, but we also assisting the entire communities, and the way that if we ever have, and God forbid, one of those lockdowns again, we will have communities being able to sustain themselves through those times. We also, you would remember, had these times where we had these terrible riots in KZN and people couldn't access shops. Our shops were closed for a long, long time. And again, we came across the fact that we have too little food growing in our own communities, and there's a dependency to travel with a taxi to the next town, to a shop, that we learned from that time, have to try to avoid, and we have to have more food in our backyards. We know from our children that we have watched for, call it a year now, in those food gardens in the area that you support in Ishawe, that they can improve the physical, cognitive, and emotional development with all the activities that we do. Because we teach them how to share the seeds and how to do things together, they also obviously have some social skills they can improve on, and that is sharing and caring and looking after each other. We know, and I mentioned that these school gardens improve the diet immensely, especially the diversity of food and the nutrient intake. We also know that the children take away a lot from these activities in the food garden for their future. So they are obviously more aware of buying certain food items and growing others, so that you can set your money for groceries aside for non-perishable foods you can put in the cupboard and so on, and that you have your fresh food for every day that you must harvest out of your own garden. We are hoping it serves them a lifetime. I really hope we are having a seed there, so to speak, that will help them in their futures. Our current 5-year-olds don't have a good prognosis. We have a youth unemployment at the moment between the ages of 18 and 25 of over 70%. And the prognosis for the children that are now in preschool is very dire because of certain economic situation in the country here. So the more we teach them about this, the better it is. And we also, with this food garden project and the food safety that comes with it, obviously they harvest these cabbages, beans, maize. There's a lot of washing and hand washing and hygiene going with this, where we also hope that we teach them skills that they will take into their youth and into their adolescence life, and that they have a learning. So in closing for this project, I'm really, really positive. I always personally found it hard to grow my own food. And I say that. That is why we have a partner organization that does the training. I love seeing what is happening there. I love seeing that these ladies take so much pride in their garden. And I know how hard it is because I tried so many times. My learning was, if you don't spend a half an hour in your garden every day, nothing is working. Remember, we have monkeys here, we have goats here, we have a lot of insect problems that can damage your crops. So a lot of patience is needed, not only the training, but you have to be on the ball all the time. So I have great respect for these ladies, and I love the regular support coming from Rotary, that they know from far away, people are supporting them and are watching their successes and their challenges. And we have setbacks. The flood was a huge setback. So I really want to thank you wholeheartedly. I think growing food is really the future, not only for the small children, but really for this country. There has to be far more food that we grow in our back gardens. I also want to thank you for allowing us as a team to do this project. It is very rewarding, and it's different than dropping off food items that are consumed that day. It's very rewarding to see something grow in that respect. So I want to thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a very great presentation.